there, but just thought I'd mention it. As we do have in the bottom right-hand corner, our blue Zerg player is Dark. Dark is taking on the red Terran in the top left corner of the map, representing Team Liquid, Clem. Well then, we always love to see a Dark Clem series. I'm trying to think when the last time I saw Dark Clem was. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to check the Aligulac to see when they last played in general. There was obviously that period where Clem was so good in TvZ, and then the only person to beat him was Dark, and then since then Dark really kind of smashed Clem a whole bunch of times. Yeah, that's just what I was thinking as well, that Clem did beat Dark recently. He did do so in the big tournament that was a couple weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, Clem 3-2 against Dark. Pretty nice result there. Dark did beat Clem in Katowice group stages. Those are the 2 times they played this year. So, yeah, more or less, seems like it's a bit back and forth, pretty even. We'll see what happens, of course. Online is always a bit more of a question mark, I would say, for Clem's TvZ, because Clem does play a very micro-intensive style. They play on the NA server. That's going to be latency heavy compared to how they usually play offline on their home servers and so on. And it has definitely been a factor where Clem's TvZ, if it has looked shaky, is more often than not happening in an online environment than an offline environment. And specifically on, you know, the NA server versus Koreans than when he's playing against the European Zergs, where he's consistently still been very, very good against Reno and Serral over the last few years. You don't win 5 DreamHack Europes without being very good in that region, right? You have our SCV pulling over to the bottom right side. You have a couple queens on the way out, a handful of Zerglings, the command center of Clem building, and very standard start hatch gas and pool. It is going to be just the 4lings from Dark, which is, well, not something that Dark always does. Sometimes Dark is the 6-ling maker, but is just going to make the 4 this time around. And we'll see those popping out. A couple queens, the Ling speed all coming through, the Reaper on the way out over to the natural expansion. There are a few Lings starting to fight, and the Reaper putting some damage onto them. The grenade goes down. Queen just gets bopped as we do have the Reaper. Just backing it up a little bit. Couple of CCs going to be finishing from Clem, so he is going to go triple command center early, just immediately ready to play the macro game. Always a little scary when you're playing against Dark and you're trying to play triple CC, because you never know when the guy's going to make a whole ton of roaches and come and try to kill you. So it has to be a little bit on Clem's mind. And especially this Reaper has a really important job to do. This Reaper has to keep on scouting. This Reaper has to keep on, you know, keeping an eye on things and keeping a check on things. Already a few Lings just going to get aggressive as Ling speed kicks in, and the Fresh Mule is going to get away. Oh no, the Lings actually got it. Ling turned around and the Lings actually do catch it. So the Fresh Mule going down, a little bit of lost mining time on top of that. Good little run by, considering that was just 4 Lings and hitting at a nice timing before the first Hellions out. That's actually a really cute little move from Dark just to help leverage an early lead. Just little things like that go, like, especially the Mule is not really a little thing. It's 250 minerals or more. It's like 270, right? But let's just say 250 minerals that Clem now doesn't have access to as early in the game as he would have usually. That's a difference to your barracks timing. That's a difference to your SCV production potentially, or your depot count. There's a lot of things that can have that, you know, that can then be knocked on, affected by that. As we get ourselves a fusion core down though, so Clem is going to play this battlecruiser setup, which is something, you know, Clem has been a bit more variety, or brought a bit more variety to his TvZ lately, playing battlecruiser stuff, playing a bit of Mech with Cyclones, and we'll see if he goes Mech in full behind this fusion core, or if he is going to follow it up with Bio. You do have that kind of either or option with that. There's not really a guarantee one way or the other that you have to go for it. Then coming by, getting knocked down. There's the Rotron from Dark, which is brilliant when you're playing against the Mech, because obviously you want to be able to deal with the Hellions and so on the ground. Obviously, just against BCs in general, just in case it is that Mech, I think it's always good to put the Rotron down. Even if it's Bio after, you can just play Roaches into Ling Bane, which is really not that bad either as well. And it just helps to solidify against what is typically the Hellions at the very least trying to do something. Pretty sure this is Mech from Clem. Extra gas taken. We're not seeing the extra production structures yet, but we're not far from them. And I do believe that's going to be more factories, probably more BCs as well. There's the 2 extra factories. And that probably means we're going up to a total of 3 battle cruisers and most likely Yamato cannon alongside the rest of that. Okay, so I just need to tab out of a little pop-up that keeps appearing from some program. Just going to quickly exit out of that, sorry. With a couple moments of FPS drops. Clem being a bit of a persistence on the map with these few Hellions, a grenade to bop a couple of Queens forward even. I do have the battle cruiser, like I say, popping out shortly. A couple Hellions, a couple of factories, all of those still on the way in here. The missile upgrades are coming through. The lair is halfway done. We do teleport the first BC in to fight against these few Queens, so in we go. Dark knew this was here, or knew this was coming. How much can we do? These Hellions starting to get rid of some of these drones. He kills the drone that was about to be an Evo chamber. And honestly, more than anything, the BC's just kind of keeping the Queens busy so that the Hellions can get rid of some workers. I don't mind this. You know, a lot of the Hellions get to stay alive. The BC gets out alive and healthy. And we've killed 7 drones already. Not a bad start. Of course, Dark is kind of expecting to lose some amount of drones here, and maybe it could have been even worse for him if the Hellions had gotten fully into the mineral line, but then the Hellions wouldn't have gotten out alive, and that's definitely a trade-off that Clem's looking at here. But, you know, this time around, he's able to keep some Hellions up already, get rid of some creep spread. Yes, you're going to make more Hellions when you're playing Mech. That's not generally an issue to lose them, but now he's already cleaning up some creep, whereas if he'd had to raid for the reinforcement Hellions, he probably wouldn't have cleaned up those few tumors, and he wouldn't have maybe had this dive in. So there is still value to keep them alive, even if you are more easily replacing them than if you were playing some kind of a bio follower. 2 BCs, no Yamato, and the starport's going to make way for the factories to go into the tech lab. Dark playing the infestation pit alongside these roaches. It means it's time for the swarm hosts. And let's see what Dark swarm host can do against this mech player. Blue flame will be very important against this, of course, if these Hellions get in for maybe just a handful of drones. There's obviously a bit more commitment from Clem. This time these Hellions probably will go down. He gets 8 workers out of it, which honestly ain't so bad. Pulls a lot of the units over here for a while. Would have maybe like to see the BCs striking somewhere at the same time of this to really just make the most of the situation, but it's not always easily done. Now they will still come through and get rid of a couple of creep tumors, knocking those down almost straight away. So many Queens. The BCs will start a fight against them, but don't expect the BCs to really get very far. Turns out that Queen transfusion is pretty good. BC's going to get all the way around. Actually heading to the main where they find a couple of Overlords. Supply block for Dark. Awkward because we're getting to that point where Cyclones and Hellions are on the map and going to start trading. No Macfield, by the way, though, from Clem. That's got to be a mistake, right? To not have Macfield at this point for the Cyclones. He now starts Yamato as well, so you will get an investment into an upgrade that will help out the battle cruisers. But yeah, definitely expecting to see Macfield because it just increases the Cyclone lock-on damage versus everything. There's no downside to getting Macfield, right? First few swarm hosts will, well, just kind of pop out, get a few locals that don't do much, and then go back home. So yeah, good defense initiative for Clem, who is now going to have Roach on the left side. Now he starts Macfield. Don't think this is the timing for this. I think this is absolutely just him realizing, crap, I forgot it. He had 2 factories with tech labs way earlier in this game. Maybe he tried to start at the same time as Blue Flame and just didn't have the money and then just never noticed from there, because that would typically be what you see in this scenario. Both Blue Flame and Macfield starting at the same time. Obviously, Blue Flame's been done for a while, and Macfield just has not been. Well, this is a large round of Locusts that make their way toward this mineral line. Clem already pulling the SCVs back to just try and minimize what these Locusts can do. Some of the reinforcements or units that were out to the right side from Clem actually going to get jumped on. He's going to lose a few Cyclones to those Locusts, which isn't ideal. Losing a bit of value there. Obviously, the Cyclones are meant to trade very efficiently, very consistently, but that doesn't really happen in that scenario. As this Overseer pans around the right-hand side, and they'll be looking to maybe grab some info moving into the main over the next few minutes. Since Tau will get knocked down. Hellions coming in, a couple drones getting knocked away at as well, so some damage being done across the board there. Our armory already coming up from Clem as well, so get the armory up and running. BC's actually teleporting into the top already. As they teleport in, they're going to be able to work through the Nidus, work through this Overseer. A few Roaches moving up, and they're going to run into the Cyclones. It'd be really nice just to have the extra damage output for the Cyclones, wouldn't it? As we do try and save this Planter, I think we're okay. the damage on the Lurkers goes through pretty quickly as roaches get blocked from entering over here. Usage of the burrow to try and keep these roaches alive. It's still very low tech from Dark, right? You can say obviously it's been good for him, the macro has been decent, but it is low tech, and even Swarm Hosts can be seen as kind of low tech units where the longer this game goes on, the less effective Swarm Hosts really become. And the more it feels as though you're kind of stuck on Swarm Hosts than you're actually doing anything super great with the Swarm Hosts. So, yeah, that definitely feels like a bit of a factor as a few more Swarm Hosts popping out of this Nidus network. These roaches getting locked onto. Cyclone's going to go chase those down a little bit. There was a turret to provide vision, so a lot of those die before anything, but there's going to be Lurkers on this base again. The SCV is pre-pulled to fight against it, and yeah, it's going to be good. And because the planetary is eating all of the shots of those Locusts, no damage done on anything else. The sensor tower lives, the refineries are alive, none of the SCVs went down. I would actually say that Clem has a pretty good hold on this game at the moment, and Dark is investigating his potential follow-ups here. There should be a scan from Clem in case of the potential burrow, although so roaches just got to the high ground. They burrow and unburrow, like I say, you should probably be fighting these roaches with scans every time just to guarantee you have vision during the burrow plays. Still getting quite a lot of kills. Yeah, Dark going into Lurkers, which I'm not really convinced about. Lurkers is kind of a follow-up here to me is kind of a little bit of a yikes because I just don't see that doing enough. It's probably quite good against the, well, Cyclone Hellion kind of phase of this game, but obviously if you start taking up into further mech play, then I think this does become a problem. These Locusts drop down and they kill a single Cyclone, so again, I'm finding good enough value against the Locusts, right? Maybe not value, but limiting the value of, you know, it's the other way around, because you don't get value killing Locusts, but you can limit the value that the Locusts find. Has definitely been a factor here as these roaches burrowing and unburrowing out of range of that scan. So many Cyclones just coming through and trying to lock on. And Dark is just burning units so swiftly because every time the Cyclone locks on, it's more or less getting a kill. Some Yamatos from the BCs just to get kind of joined in here. We do Yamato down the Infestors actually, so pretty big targets. Some Fungals would have been nice to try and lock these Cyclones down. There is a Fungal from the top side. The BCs are likely about to fall here. I think Clem probably should have pulled that one back already. It's nice to keep these BCs alive throughout the game because there's a lot they can do. And Clem is not in the position with the bank to rebuild where Dark is, so maybe this was pretty good for Dark, being able to kind of force Clem's army to reset a little bit. Clem will not be maxed out there, as we do see 2 new command centers being brought into play, though. Oh. Got some lag. That's a lot of lag.
Game paused.
Well, ping check maybe. Maybe just the server. Maybe one of our obs having some lag. I mean, ours is 140, so we're good. Alright. Alright, let's try to get back into this and see what happens. May just be the NA server kind of having a bumpy couple of moments here. We're going to try and nab a couple of those drones as Clem moves down that right side. So straight back to it. A couple of Cyclones just locking on, clearing out some Overlords again. They kind of just ventured a bit too far forward. You can see the worker counts, by the way. Clem 86 to 68, and that's just because the Swarm Hosts are meant to provide so much value. The problem is the Swarm Hosts become less effective and less of a factor. That worker count starts to work against Dark, because then, you know, you're not playing a Swarm Host style anymore, right? So then it becomes a bit more problematic. Still feel like Clem is missing scans preemptively on these roaches, although it's not really mattering. A lot of the time he's killing them anyways. It's just they're finding a bit more value because they do get the burrow, unburrow, unlock of the target on the Cyclones. I like the idea from Dark using that burrow to try and bust it, and it just feels like there is an adjustment that Clem can make to deal with it as we knock down another creep, another Nidus, and with it goes the creep spread as that scan goes down. Just pop out, a couple of SCVs going down as well. The Cyclones will be still producing 3 at a time. The Lurkers are out. Okay. Lurker hold position. Because it's the first time we're seeing the Lurkers. I don't even think Clem really knows about them. If you can, as Clem, or as Dark, sorry, bait Clem to run up the ramp with almost everything, and the Lurkers wait and they wait, this could be a way to get so much damage done at once. And then it could be that kind of catapulting effect where you could potentially just kind of run up into Clem's base straight away. Here we go. Hold position, Lurkers. Massive chunk of damage. Was that like 40 supply of Clem that just disappeared in the first volley? Oh my god. I mean, well, that's effective. Okay, Clem just lost a lot of supply. Holy crap. You know, I was very doubtful about the Lurkers, and I will stand by that. But that was a hell of a play, and that alone is... Wow. I mean, that was just an insane shot. It's exactly where it needed to be. And again, you know, in part, it's kind of because Clem seems so reluctant to scan throughout this game. It feels like, you know, he's running into roaches, and if he just preemptively scans to see, you know, if they burrow even, I feel like Clem's just dropping so few scans around the map. Now we do have these Lurkers. The good news is that the battlecruisers can obviously work against the Lurkers quite effectively. We are making now 2 BCs at a time. Just Clem needs time to recover initially. We drop a microbial shroud and the Hydras are surviving. The BC is going to get knocked down here. Oh my goodness. Well, that's really not good for Clem, as now Lurkers are going to catch a group of Cyclones and Hellions. Trying to stand and fight, but this game is getting out of control. I don't think Clem's recovering from that first Lurker play. And yeah, just doesn't have really an answer to the Lurkers in general. Honestly, I think this game is going very well for Clem. Up until that point, what a play from Dark. I was so doubtful about the Lurkers. But man, it was honestly like 40 supply in an instant that just got absolutely obliterated. And Dark will take game 1 off of Clem. One which a lot of people have been looking forward to, so let's keep it going. Bottom left-hand corner, the red Terran from Team Liquid, Clem. At the top right, our blue Zerg, it's Dark. What is hold position lurker? You tell the lurkers to hold position, which means they don't automatically fire when units run into range, which means that they don't fire when units are at the edge of their range. So the Terran is like on top of the lurkers before the lurkers shoot. And so if the Terran's on top of the lurkers when the lurkers shoot, they get a ton of splash damage because everything is in range. It's pretty sick. Pretty disgusting. Clem played Mech but forgot buffed Clem played Mech but forgot buffed Banshees. I mean, the thing is, Banshees and BCs fill a similar role. And with the Battle Mech, I don't even know if you necessarily need the Banshees. I feel like Banshees can sometimes take a lot of resources and not necessarily do a lot, or even force the Zerg into a lot of a response. Couple Queens, feelings all on the way up, Overlord building. As our Reaper moves into the natural and flipping away on a drone from some lings. Getting set up for the moment. Lings come over, Reaper taking some shots, couple Queens on the way out. A few drones still producing with a hatchery. Also building up from Darks, getting that third hatch up and rolling. A Rotron very early in the game this time, which is a very Dark thing to do. I mentioned it last game when Clem went 3CC, and it's true here again. You've got to be careful against Dark, because he will just build this Rotron. He will just be very aggressive. He has absolutely no concerns or hesitations about that, so just kind of have to deal with that fact and, well, just keep on moving through and just, like I say, make sure you can defend against these few roaches. More roaches producing. Queen is on the way. And you see a couple of the Hellions building up from Clem as well. Our starport also about to finish. As this one Reaper goes out to the upper right-hand side of the map, away we go. To move up over here, gonna start putting some damage onto the hatchery, and the couple Queens get in position straight away to turn the Reaper back around down to the south. See, there's plenty of roaches, but there is a Banshee on the way from Clem, which means that he can deal with the roaches to some extent. He's going to bunker high ground too, so it's all about minimizing the damage the roaches do until you get the units out to clean them up and the damage out to clean them up, which is, in this case, going to be the Banshee. So yeah, high ground bunker is fine. You just pull the SCVs away from the low ground. He's letting them mine for as long as possible, but the last thing you want to do here is obviously lose SCVs when you don't need to, so now they evacuate. One more grenade to buy a bit more time against the roaches. You just want this bunker to finish and a couple of units to get inside. We're going to lose the SCV, which will, well, suck a little bit. We lose one Reaper. But the Banshee is obviously just constant damage output. And the problem for the roaches is if they try to go back home now, the Banshee is going to get damage as they go. So there's no real guarantee of like getting out here freely. And that's kind of why these roaches split, to make sure that the Banshee can't just chase the whole clump of them very easily. And some of these roaches even turn back onto the natural as the Banshee initially committed through to try and chase down that Ravager. Didn't get it, by the way. Ravager got away with the one roach that went up there. Clem gets 4 more roach kills, but he lost a couple of units himself, so really was a bit of a back and forth situation. All said and done. Flare about halfway through, the couple overlords coming up. Hyperflight Rotor's already building for the Banshees as well. And this Banshee will cloak and move into the third base. Ravager taking some shots. The drone's going to become spores. We'll see if you can get some damage done with the Banshees then. Brilliant. We are going to go Hyperflight Rotors, guys. So if you wanted those broken Banshees, as you said, and you didn't build them last game, you're going to get them this time. Clem is going to mech it up a second time around here. What's happening, guys? Clem's playing Mech 2 games in a row. Like, Clem mixing in Mech was becoming a normality, but playing it twice back to back, it's like, I don't know how to compute this. I don't know how to deal with this information. Ravagers, Roaches get there to block the Hellions off, push them back down the right-hand side pretty much immediately. We do have a couple of Evo Chambers just finished up. The Infestation Pit is starting. 4 more drones producing on the side of Dark with the Extractors as well. And again, the Queens are just going to move up to the top to keep the Hellions pushed away to the 12 o'clock position. We'll see it back across the left side. A few Hellions will come around the left as well. The Roaches, the Ravagers going to get through, and the Hellions taking some pretty hefty shots. Nipper de Lagash, thank you so much for the 4-month resub. Appreciate the support as our mech play gets set up. Our Hellions move into the center. And over to the right, the Banshee's just going to cloak and actually going to see, hey, there's a few Queens we can pick off here. Only one of them had a transfuse initially. The other transfusion's becoming available at the end. We save every Queen. Now the Banshees go back on that hatch. They probably could have cancelled that easily before. Will they be able to still? It looks like yes, they will. So actually not bad for the Queens to, for the Banshees to have chased the Queens down. If you didn't get the hatchery in the end, it's like, oh god, now you've chased and you didn't get what was kind of a guarantee beforehand. But yeah, obviously we do pick that off. And this time, by the way, Magfield and Infernal Pre-Igniter, both the upgrades for Hellions and Cyclones at the same time. It was definitely a mistake from Clem last game, leaving that Magfield for so long. It just doesn't make sense. You can end up on so many Cyclones. Why the heck wouldn't you want them to be doing 10 more damage per shot, basically? It's, you know, it's unfounded, right? So, yeah, definitely was a mistake. Cyclone's locking in. A few Roaches going down. We're going to turn back around. Roaches, Ravagers, taking some shots. So we do have our 4 Cyclones producing at a time. We're even going to get Drilling Claws this game. Interesting. So we're just going to go into our kind of Widow Mines, or maybe just potential for Widow Mines. Maybe he's afraid this is going to be Mutas to deal with the Banshees, and so he's just prepping for that. There's actually just going to be Infesta Roach at the moment, so let's see what the Widow Mines can do. Interested to see how that pans out. For now, Clem continue to trade very well, as the Banshees, though, do get caught in a massive fungal. That will kill the majority of them, as the follow-up fungal is good, and one Banshee nearly got away, but there was one last fungal to also say no. Well, actually, that Banshee survived that last fungal as well, but that's actually big for Dark, because Clem was starting to really gain control of this position and really start to get some very good trades. He was up on supply even. So yeah, actually getting a catch there is big, although this is kind of big too. We knocked down an Infestor, so stopping the Infestor from getting further casts off, only going to improve Clem's position, as I think he's figuring out the fact that Dark is moving around for a wraparound. Very smart from Clem just to be paying attention to that possibility and, you know, kind of feeling out, hey, where have your units gone? You've kind of stopped attacking me. You don't quite have as much in the front as you did before. Just figuring that out and getting in position to deal with the roaches there. Very smart, like I say. Ghost Academy coming down, moving into Ghosts as the follow-up of this obviously allows us to essentially play that Ghost Mech, which is probably one of the most powerful compositions in the game. The Mech is just such a well-rounded composition to begin with, to then add Ghosts to it, which are so good in this matchup. It really is just super powerful what we head into here. Cyclones will gather up, the Banshees go up the right-hand side. We will drop a scan, as we will see a chunk of these drones already being picked away at. 4 drones going down, just see the Banshees escaping around the sides. Oh, now they got one more drone there too, but it's really nice to see this damage. You can see Dark, 69 drones to 85 SCVs. Last time around he had similar amounts of workers, but obviously then he was playing with the Swarm host, so that's much more normal. This time we're playing with the freaking Lurkers and Hydras and Vipers. You can't just sit down, you know, 10 plus workers on the Terran player. Not with the efficiency they are likely going to find in the rest of this game and the rest of these engagements, so you gotta be very careful with that. Let's see if he pulls back away the left-hand side. Just going to go escaping for the moment. A few more command centers in production. Missile turrets coming up. Even more siege tanks being brought through as well. About half of them halfway done with those tanks. As Clem is about to be maxed. Kills a few more drones with the Banshees, and I do wonder if that's something we want to keep on going for here. Just kind of that little harassing style. I mean, as you max out, you should in generally be starting to push, right? That's generally how this mech army works. Just keep on trading. Scan out. The Banshee gets pushed away by the Spore Crawler. The Cyclones here going to knock those roaches down as well, so they will fall pretty quickly. Lurkers come across and just going to get the Hellions pushed back pretty quickly as well. So again, doing quite nice. Just so much tech on the way. Dark has Adrenal +2, +1. Spires are building for him as well. Clem also upgrading, adding those ghosts on. We kind of get a little bit of a standoff for a few moments here until we see kind of what direction both players are going to head on into. Nidus network from Dark, which is always nice. Anytime you can get a Nidus up and try and Nidus behind enemy lines, try and disrupt what Clem is doing, force him to play defense rather than just being able to attack all the time, for example. Those moves are generally very, very good, so not a bad thing to see that as Cyclones grab an Overlord. These few Hellions coming through. 3 drones going down. Gonna look for more. 8 drones. 9. And the Ling Roach coming across to clean up the last little chunk of that as well, as we knock down a couple of creep tumors already on the right side. Just gonna get a little lock on for a couple more creep tumors. The Cyclones coming through. Overlord's taking damage. Just gonna clean up as much of that as possible. Those Lings actually come by and they're gonna knock down a couple of Cyclones, so both of those will drop as well. And we do have our attempt of a Nidus into the main base. So Nidus into the main. Clem doesn't have it. Well, he's got a couple tanks that just spawned, but he's not seen it, so... Oh, he has seen it. He's just pulling them into a siege position. I thought he would be able to kind of turn an auto attack, but this works as well. He's got snipes lining up, but he didn't have the scan! Clem's just been, again, very slow to scan sometimes, and if he'd had a scan there, he wouldn't have lost the snipes onto those lurkers, but have killed a few more of them before they made their escape, so... Again, just... It was similar in the last game, too. I feel like I'm just continuing to hound about it, but it does feel like with a few more scans, Clem could have just done a whole lot better for himself. Another Nidus on the way up. We do have a Great Spire on the way too, so Dark will have that being brought into play for himself here. Great Spire gives him the Broodlord option. And usually like one surge of Broodlords is all you really get in this matchup, and just because if you build Broodlords, the first time it can be a surprise, and then the Thor count gets up. Once Thor counts are out, you can do a lot to kind of fight back against that as well, so kind of intriguing how this will head on out, or how this will continue through, I suppose. I was going to see a couple of snipes coming out as well, so a little bit of damage being dealt over there initially. Rushes, Bane lanes the Hydra, coming over around the right side as we do have a couple of ghosts ready to snipe down. Onto a few of those roaches, snipe, and some of the roaches getting picked away at immediately, so decent damage over there. Coming across again, a few of these Cyclones taking some shots. I think actually you're going to have a nice Widow Mine to go off on some of those Banes. Building into that Neural Parasite as well, Dark recognizing that he's going to need some of this spellcasting to help him take on this larger army of Clem that has just kept on building up here. And Dark rebuilding with a lot of Lings as well, so preserving some of his gas, wants some of these Lings to be able to float on forward. Clem is obviously working forward from his own kind of very just strong position. He's working forward from his bases as well. This map, once you kind of take these forward expansions, becomes pretty darn small. It's not a small map by nature, but the bases coming towards each other makes it very small, and that's going to be a problem here, as I really feel like these ghosts need to turn around and fight against the Lings. They are kind of the best thing against the Lings until some Hellions show up. Now we turn around, we'll get some snipes after, and felt like a good dive in from Dark. Got a lot of tanks before Clem really even started to battle against it. Only a handful of SCVs going down. That right side base of Dark is a little bit separated. That might be a target here, right? If we can just take that base down, could be a little bit of success to be had. We're just keeping it separated from the rest of the army, as now these tanks are in a good spot, obviously able to hit kind of up in toward that Zerg base, and you're going to have to come down the ramp to do anything there, and Nidus on the bottom right can set up some counterattacks, or just some flanks. Some Lings are going to try and run by for the counterattacks. We'll see how deep they go as the wall is left open, but there's kind of just units here. We do lose about 12 SCVs. It's units on the other side of the gold base that are dealing the damage. This little Lurker is doing a lot as well. Oh, we go back too soon. Oh my god, this Lurker has got 11 kills, by the way. So that Lurker is popping off, getting so much dealt here, and just really limiting Clem's economy down to 60 SCVs. Clem doesn't have a massive bank either, so for Dark, this is kind of becoming ideal, right? You're shutting down the Lurk. Oh, well, you know, you're kind of shutting down the work count of Clem, and then Clem's gonna, you know, essentially you're gonna take one big fight, and you're gonna have rebuild potential where Clem doesn't. The only problem is you do need to take a good fight, and Clem's army supply is huge, 135. He has been replacing all of this worker space with just units, so it's definitely been a little bit of a, well, it's been something to keep our eyes on. It's been something to think about. A couple of ghosts. See what they can do. You've got to be very careful of those infestors, of course. There's a few more corrosive files come down. Here are the Broodlords as well. Because we will have some snipes to take down the first, though. So even though there's not Thors in range, the snipes will do justice. And Clem has just been slowly pushing into that position, but apparently this is where he decides to just back away. Doesn't want to keep on dancing with the Broodlords with the tanks right at the front here. So we'll just back it up a few moments and maybe wait for some of his reinforcements. Brood's actually going to continue forward, and there's a couple of tanks that were still sieged. Well, Clem moves in. He's actually going to line up the snipes again. He gets a lot of initial snipes. Massive fungal growth will redo the fungal as the EMP missed the infestor. And now the Banes are going to come running down this low ground. Tanks firing up a storm. The Lings, the Ravagers, all getting knocked down here. The few ghosts still joining up. We could potentially go for some of those snipes on the Broods. There's a few more Thors continuing to build. Thor will punch through the Nidus network here and then stop. That's not good. Clem. Clem, you had the defense against this. That's a little sad. I mean, now I guess you're going to put Hellions in a good spot, and actually it's going to be pretty much okay anyways. Although it's still kind of annoying, right? We're still losing potentially a factory at the end of this. Yeah, we actually might lose the siege tank. Yeah, we do. I'm moving forward as the unit's all clumped up. Surely this is just a fungal growth waiting to happen. Corrosive Bile's even beginning to land at the start of this as well. Still trying to push on through the snipes, trying to aim towards those Broodlords. Can Clem get enough of these snipes off to make the difference? So far, no. Resources lost in this game, 26k to 23k, so it is better for Clem, but it's not so much better. It's worth noting that, though, because obviously we are kind of staying at evenish base count, so if both players get to mine out their own side of the map, Clem has the slight advantage, a slight step up when it comes to resources lost. We'll knock a Lurker down in the bottom right corner as well here, 20 minutes into Game 2 on Royal Blood. Dark and Clem. Playing this kind of mech. Well, Clem playing this mech sort of style, both games so far. All different ways of playing it. BC's game 1, Banshee's game 2. It felt like this is kind of the game we were heading towards last time until the Lurkers just nuked a bunch of Cyclones. It kind of felt like Clem had, you know, the advantage, the momentum, but Dark is probably going to be able to force it later game. Then the Lurkers that just nuked down that army, like 40 supply of it all at once, really stopped us from ever seeing this kind of like split map duel and the game having to slow down completely. If Clem had maybe caught wind of the Lurkers and maybe had slowed, had seen, okay, well, what more can I do now? He probably would have slowed it down to kind of a similar point right now, so. A few drones going down. We do see the Thors picking off the extractor in the top. While the tank's still sieging. Advanced ballistics, plus 2 ship weapons. Nuke on the way. So all of that being brought up at the moment. Hatchery on the 9 o'clock as Clem takes the hatchery on the 3 o'clock, so the base on the 3 o'clock, which obviously is one the Dark had previously. If Clem can defend that, then brilliant. We're going to lose a couple of tanks that were wandering forward. Doesn't really seem intentional out of Clem. He doesn't immediately replace them with something that he has free enough supply for, so starts up 2 more Thors. It might be to the point where he just doesn't feel like he wants tanks. Sometimes a couple are still pretty decent. I feel like he just... Oh yeah, I was going to say, an EMP just went off in his Ghost. The Neural... I was trying to see where the Infestor was, but it was actually just on the high ground. Good catch on the edge. Now, Clem doesn't lose all of his Ghost energy, but he does lose a little chunk of it to begin with. You know, Mr. Harada, thank you so much for the 18-month resub. Your subscription's almost old enough to walk. Damn. That sub getting old, yo. Snipes, and we knock down this Lurker. More Broods and more Vipers from Dark Clem. Still doesn't really have much of a bank as the Broodlords are going to make their way down the right-hand side. Clem just cleans up this base on the left. And then where does he go? I mean, I guess he goes to deny the gold, and they're both just going to deny the same bases of each other. And Clem's gold's going to get denied here. Dark's gold should get denied. Which of these players decides to kind of pull back and potentially maybe start making an army fight out of this sooner? Probably Dark, because his mobility is actually worse than the mech players, because Broodlords are just that bad at being mobile. Oh, that's a nice little neuroparasite as well. The Thor's getting caught there. It's just going to pop back out and get back to business. The Broodlord's back around the top side, and a few Thors up into the top left corner as well. Actually going down. Banelings and Festus and everything joining up together too. Just for the moment. 4.5k, 3k, man. Clem's bank just kind of exploded the last few moments. I feel like moments ago I was like, man, Clem doesn't have much bank 3 minutes down the line. I guess 3 minutes of not replacing anything, and that money does kind of sink in, right? 2k minerals a minute, 1k gas. It only takes a couple minutes. I'm going to land a nuke on one of the bases the Dark still owns. He instantly pulls the drones away, so found that straight away. It's coming forward, a couple of Hellbats getting attacked. A Ghost going down there as well. We are going to start lining up snipes. All of those snipes were on the first Broodlord, though. That Broodlord was leading the charge. Oh, we're going to have a bit of a fight here. The Ghost dodge back away from those Fungals. We Neural Parasite one of the Thors, try and take away some of this some of the firepower here. The Ghosts all got bungled, and the Banelings come rolling through. The Ghosts getting blown up. We don't have a way to get rid of the Infestors, apparently, so every single Neural is causing these Thors to fight each other, and that means we don't have the anti-air necessary to take on the Broodlords. This Thor turning around, the Broodlings still dropping down into play. The gold base on the right side, just long distancing at the moment. 11 Roaches, 4 Corruptors, all continuing up. We do have our Broodlords continuing into this mineral line. This is a fight that's decided the game, though. It has been enough from Dark, and now Clem is going to be kind of hanging on for dear life. He has a lot of stuff on the way all of a sudden because he had a lot of money in the bank, but not sure how far it's going to go. Broodlords dropping down. More of these Broodlings. We just have Infestors still pressing forward. Oh, that's Ghosts taking some further damage. You snipe down one Infestor. Orbital going to lift off, relocate back over the right side. Going through, a couple of these libs getting knocked down, a couple of Thors getting, again, neuraled again, but can they really withstand? I tell you what, the army supply of Dark is dropping off. So Dark's army supply is struggling a little bit. Clem is now dropping again, though, as the few Roaches just move forward. Roaches are, well, Roaches are not exactly ideal, right? They don't trade super well, and Clem is kind of holding on against them. Dark's bank is kind of gone, and Clem has made a stand at the front. Clem is held. Clem's pushed Dark back, and I tell you what, Dark only really has Corruptors left over and a few Roaches. I much prefer Clem's army right now, as long as he can deal with the Zerglings. I guess the Lings are the biggest problem here. You're trying to snipe down some Roaches with these Ghosts. The Lings will have to fight those Lings off. Snipe, a couple of Thors still surviving. Where are the rest of the Thors? There are more of them. There's 4 more Thors somewhere. Where are the Thors at? Yeah, just kind of all over the place, but if they all joined up together, Clem's army, it does look a bit better at the moment, actually. Holy crap. Dark really lost out in the fight following that, and again, was kind of just running out of money. I tell you what, Clem having denied those bases on the left side and up the left, I think really impacted Dark's ability to rebuild a second time around. And a couple of refineries coming up, our Corruptors, Caustic Spray, and our Thor is going to get rid of one of those Corruptors. Now the Thor dies. Roaches and Lings run in. The Planetary active, killing off a few Zerglings. It looks as though this Planetary might die as the SCVs can't repair it, but Clem is going to go on an offensive himself. He's going to find a bunch of Roaches for free straight away. In fact, a lot of Roaches, and the few Hellions will go a long way because we saw just how much the few Lings were doing. So actually having Hellions to block the Lings as we line up the drones. Try and take out that economy. Obviously stop Dark from mining anything further in this game at this point in time. Top left base going down. Approaching 30 minutes here on Royal Blood. We still got a push from Dark going through the center of the map. That's forcing the command center back. A Queen gets picked off as well. Clem apparently getting the 28-minute concussive shells. For the 3 Marauders that he owns. I mean, again, you look at the units tab here, and I think that's the story of this. It's Ling Roach against Thor Hellion. I don't think Ling Roach does it. Not in the kind of numbers that we've got. A couple of Infestors, the Spellcasters really are the addition we probably need once again to potentially see the other side of this go in the way of Dark. Dark trying to get the bases still up in the bottom right corner. Clem is going to start taking the bases that Dark has had throughout this game. His gold base, of course, Clem had this gold base for a long time as well, so it's just got to that point where they've rotated around at taking each other's bases. That's the kind of ridiculousness that we're starting to see here in this game, too. We're killing off 8 more drones. This is really valuable damage, right? Oh, the Hellions morph into Hellbats, and they take a clump of Lings with them. Man, for 2 Hellions there, that was really a valuable push forward as Clem now knocks down the Spine Crawler, going after this hatchery. Here, Roaches will counterattack in on the left-hand side. In they go as a few SCVs will begin to drop off. 3, 4 workers already going down. Lings run by, looking to catch some of these ghosts. Well, the Roaches trying to run into, they're getting picked off. I mean, the counterattack is nice. Clem doesn't have a lot of economy, but he is clearing up, and of course it's costing Dark units that he can't keep replenishing. I guess he can replenish to some extent, but I mean, I guess that base bottom right will help out. Clem mining out the gold base again, any source of income. Could really do with that refinery there. He is limited on gas more than anything else too at the moment, so gas income would be nice to find. He has 134 gas income, and it's dropping off. I wonder if I think he's on the tail end of the refineries that are on the map. So yeah, even taking that gold-based gas would be kind of big, and he just started up right now. Cyclone gets the lock on. The Ghost setting up a snipe. We see a few Lings moving forwards and going to go after the Cyclone. The Ghosts wanting to engage in again. They do drop the Fungal to cancel some of the snipes off. Honestly, the Thors, I feel like, are going to be good enough here, considering the Hellbats aren't even joining the fray. I really feel like there's no answer to the Thors. If the Roaches get on top of them, brilliant, but the Roaches get on top of those Thors seems so unlikely. Here are the Hellbats this time actually pushing forward with the rest of this for Clem. As he takes down this gold base, the Infestor's trying to go running. There's a couple of Lurkers. Well, the Ghosts don't really have much energy left, so the Lurkers may not be the easiest thing to deal with. Clem down to only 7 SCVs. He knocked down the gold. The Thor on the top side is taking a bunch of damage from those Roaches. They get the surround on it, so that Thor will drop. We push on forward again. If we just had a couple of snipes, we could knock the Lurkers down. They are the issue. They're going to stop Clem from attacking in. They're going to buy Dark a little bit more time to stay alive in this game. We get one snipe of the Thors, trying to get through. There's the scan. We're just pushing forwards, but leaving the Lurker damage isn't enough right now. Here comes some Lings from the other side, though, as Dark makes a play. Clem split his Thors up, trying to get a surround on that position, and because of that, he's starting to lose a lot of stuff. All these Thors will get wiped out. Clem couldn't just attack in from one direction because of the Lurkers, and now Dark jumps on that same opportunity and taking the advantage. The Hellions into Hellbat to force the Roaches back, though. Roaches try to come in again. A few final snipes from these Ghosts. They're running out of energy once again. Clem's supply is gone, guys. He doesn't have enough. It looks like Dark's going to get the win in the end anyways. 32 minutes, back and forth TvZ. And Dark, the couple of final Lurkers are actually going to be game-changing and game-winning for him. Wow. Absolutely incredible as our Hellions off in a Hellbats here. Clem has nothing left. GG. Dark wins it. 32 minutes. And just turning the game around absolutely bonkers.